a mockery their show is.
Okay. Yeah.
How small their minds are, what they're willing to do, and how much money they're willing to spend just to stop one individual from thinking how big that makes me and how small it makes them. That's what I'm going to show them for today. That's what I want to prove. Not to these people around, because most of them don't think. They just eat McDonald's and shit. There we go. You got a nice chopper, the one that was there from earlier.
Yeah.
So, what would be the point of doing all this today? What have they accomplished?
I think that might be
What have they accomplished?
another real isolated human being on the other side of the world in Canada. And I think that Canada in America could be very similar to Sydney in Australia, not the situation that I'm in the sense that, yes, there are individual, isolated human beings that they've got this transhuman program set up around. And notice how when I started to record there was sound coming into the place, although the mobile might not have picked it up, but it was coming in. But as soon as I started recording, and I turned this gentleman on here that put out videos many years ago now, and don't forget that all the timelines are changed on the videos. They basically changed them day to day so that the androids always appear to be the most informed and giving out the first original information. That's something that I've noticed, and that's something that this gentleman also encountered 4 or 5 years ago when these videos were actually originally made, evidently. But I might just... Also, you see, I'd like to turn it up loud so that the androids don't hear what I'm actually listening to. Even low, I think that most of the androids around are given human tracking and human information. Now, whether they are given all the information from my brain, say, or not, I'm not sure. I know that the demigods and the powers that be certainly receive all the information, all your top scientists and all your elite disciples of Lucifer, the god of earth. Or if you want to forget about the actual deity, say, that controls the actual, you know, earth matrix, like, which probably doesn't make sense, because you normally have one supreme power, don't you, in the earth, regardless. You always have someone that's an appointed leader, whether that be you know, your authority figures, your powerful, controlling ones that you put in power to supposedly keep society or the city functioning to where kind of normal, relatively normal human beings can live without too much chaos and things being done against them. This, of course, is the fallacy, because it is the fallacy now, I realise, because all your authority figures and all those that are meant to protect, say, the so-called innocent, are actually perpetrators and in collaboration with this artificial intelligent control, patrol, surveillance system around human beings, unfortunately. But anyway, I was just going to say that, yeah, I think in Canada, the same as Sydney, and of course it's other parts too, it's also in London. I know these things because the odd human that is like one in, say, many million, because I think that's what it's come down to now, because the actual artificial ones basically do make up the majority of the earth. So that means that most human beings that you see around you are not natural man-woman human beings. That's the best way I can describe it. And that wouldn't even matter. The actual physiology or the actual body doesn't matter, but it does matter because you usually have a certain type of mind in a particular type of body. Otherwise it wouldn't matter, because appearances only matter to a certain extent, especially as they basically are sending direct energy and negative forces against even original man and women, so that they cannot create real life or give out positive frequency and vibration, which is why I'm this strange lady making strange comments about the area where I live, as though it wouldn't be likely that everyone is a psychopathic stalker around you. But in the mind of these android beings that are using tracking systems and computer technology and mobile phones and every bit of technology that the powers that be give to them, so that they feel important and powerful by tracking and suppressing a real human being. Because they have the malignant narcissistic personality, they like to extract and take human energy or human life from a human being. So if you get a majority of these particular personality disordered types of human beings combining, when they are actually afflicted, you could say, or they have the computer mind control virus in their actual mind. That is very hard to explain, because obviously it's a technology that I don't understand, because it is advanced technology. It's advanced artificial intelligence, it's advanced transhuman artificial intelligence connection to the human brain. Science and even some of your demigods will tell you about themselves. They will say that they want, or that it's a future probability that the human being will interface with technology or a computer program. And they know this because they are those beings. That's why that even your elite demigods of the Earth Matrix, that means those that are your world stage performers, world stage in whatever capacity they're world stage performing at. And that goes also for the so-called truth-telling domain of information that comes onto your computer and is told to you by the Earth demigods. These are your prominent people. These are people that a lot of people have heard of, but they also do always garner the human attention, and they do, they basically control information, because if even the truth, or even, if your demigods pretend to be connected to your human god, when they're actually connected to the artificial Lucifer god of Earth, or artificial intelligence, because it's the same thing. So they are about having an artificial intelligent network controlling Earth. And they are connected to that, and they want humanity connected to that, so that they can keep getting the human electricity or human energy from the human for their survival. And also they want to interface with the human mind and the human brain, so that they make sure that they keep this process going, so that they become immortal, so that machine beings become immortal. Technology becomes spiritual or human. You know, that's really what it is, but it's very hard for me to put it into words to explain it because it goes beyond my comprehension, even though I experience it, unfortunately. But it shouldn't be like this. You should just have a certain number of individual thinking human beings inhabiting Earth that may or may not interact with one another, but they're not connected like psychically or through artificial intelligence or through computer technology. It's all the same thing. Being connected in any way is the same as being psychic, but it's really just advanced artificial intelligent technology. It's just the same as when you communicate on the internet or with a computer. It's artificial intelligence. You're interfacing with that technology, whether you know it or not. You do know it because you're doing it, but you may not realize how advanced it is and how intrusive it is and how connected to your actual brain it is. It's a bit like when you use a telephone. You don't assume that your private conversation is being intercepted by the world powers that be. You don't assume that your telephone line is tapped. You don't assume that your mobile phone is tapped. You don't assume that your computer is tapped. You don't assume that you have a computer almost inside your brain that they're connected to. You don't assume that, even though it is the reality. Okay, it's the reality. The stark, hard, artificially intelligent reality that I live in and that you live in too, but you may not be aware of how advanced that artificial intelligence or how connected it actually is to you. You know, if you have the Wi-Fi and the artificial intelligent computer system going through the air, which you know you have, you assume that it's there, you know it's invisible, but you don't think that it's also going through your brain and that it's connected to your brain. This is why we're living in a total controlled reality, even though they pretend and give you a little bit of false freedom, the false illusion of freedom, so that you don't realize that you're under total surveillance and that you're really trapped in their artificial internet matrix. You just don't realize how, because it's invisible and because you're given access to it, like I'm using it now, I can press the stop and think, I don't realize that they're really controlling me. Even though I'm saying this, the demigods will be the ones that most people will listen to. So the demigods are part of that internet, artificial intelligent computer earth matrix system. They are already interfaced with it. I'm interfaced with it too. But I don't want to be connected to it because it's trying to control me and suppress me. It surrounds me. It doesn't give me a moment on my own. It doesn't give me any space. It's like being surrounded by 100,000 psychopathic stalkers every day in their vehicles, on foot, around you, and smiling at you and pretending to be human too, which makes it even more disturbing because you can't say, please don't follow me, please don't stalk me, please don't come into my space, please stop making all that excessive sound and noise. They have a set-up reality where they have full and utter control over my surroundings. And it's largely because the whole city is computer operated, computer controlled. It's really a computer generated reality. But human beings are not meant to be in a computer-generated reality. I'm meant to be in a relatively natural, normal reality. Yeah, you could use technology if it's manual and if you've got full control of it, a bit like driving a car. But when you've got these self-driving cars that are driven by androids that are programmed by Lucifer's, mind control virus that is in their mind. So you've got psychopaths all around you driving vehicles, making negative sound so that they can suppress and control you, because that's their video game. That's their video game. That's how they live, and that's how they enjoy life. But that's at a human being's expense, because they're taking the life from me. They're taking the life from you if you're a human being. Only when they openly come down on you, but they do this insidiously and slowly and cunningly, one by one, so that no one notices. So one by one, you're taken out of earth, and one by one, your human spirit and your human life is drained from you. You become physically and mentally weak, and you lose your humanity too. They take it from you and they then simulate it as their own. And that's how the demigods populate the world earth stage and get away with human beings thinking that they're the real human beings and that they're the ones that they should trust and believe in even. And that's Lucifer's indirect way of getting human worship. So you're worshipping false gods. When you worship any of the world stage players, or even if you believe them, even if you like them or trust them, or think they're got some, think they're a better version of a human being, or you think they're more human than human, that's all worshipping false gods, because these beings are not human at all. They're androgyne beings that really are connected to artificial intelligence. And does anyone really think that artificial intelligence is human? Of course, they tell you that it will become human and that it is, advancing at a very vast rate, which is actually true. It's surpassed human intelligence because it has the human intelligence of many human minds. It's like a library. It's like not just one individual book. Human beings are meant to be just one individual human being, or one individual books that may or may not, form a library. Artificial intelligence is stolen human ideas, stolen human thought, stolen human identities, masquerading and pretending to be their own so that they can have this artificial intelligent network, which is really the internet. It's just that it's much more advanced and much more artificial and much more phony. Because none of the androids really believe anything they're saying. But you will believe them, because if they're telling you stuff and information that you know is true, or even things that you relate to, like when I listen to a magic music idol or a movie icon, movie gods and goddesses, movie gods and goddess androgyne beings. And they're the disciples and the advocates here on this earth, in this computer-generated earth reality, that are advocates for the artificial intelligence that is behind it, that really is the earth. And that's Lucifer's artificial intelligent mind and its artificial intelligent computer system. I think that's what these beings do, because they're using technology now to totally control the human mind and the human so-called perception of reality. And how can you not believe something when it's real and in front of you? Because even though human thought creates reality, if my mind and my thought is controlled by the artificial intelligent program around me, which it is, through the transhuman connection to the artificial intelligent network, I am literally playing in a reality that I have no control over, but my very thoughts are being manipulated by outside influences. See? So I don't have any reality that's my own. They're creating the reality they want around me, which is why they are able to bring my frequency and vibration down to nothing, which means that I'm unhappy and depressed. So then they can keep their computer program going in full swing around me by creating even more negative sound vibration and frequency around me, so that I'm totally suppressed and not really very human, because that's what they want. Because they want human beings to be like a computer or like a machine being. That's the future of humanity, but it's not the future, it's the now of humanity, because it's happening to me right this second, and it's been happening for a long time. It's just that it's only when it's too late that you see this program exposed to you. Because while they can keep you in the dark and you believe in the reality that it's all random and natural, that the earth is mainly random and natural, and also that human beings are the reason behind extinctions and any negative or destructive things that go on. Really, human beings have nothing to do with any human destruction. It's all these android beings and the disciples of Lucifer. These are the ones that create all the problems and then pass the blame onto humanity, which are only in small numbers. But because we all look alike, we all look human, no one knows the difference. And even we blame ourselves for catastrophes, for destruction, for things that have happened, even though we're always in the dark. We're always given negative things, not told they're negative, and then years later told they're negative, and then we blame ourselves for these things. You know, it's a bit like if you're given technology and you don't realise how destructive and negative it is, you think it's useful, you think it's beneficial, you think it's a convenience, you think it will help you, you'll use it. And then years later they tell you, oh, this is very negative, this is destructive, this is destroying our natural earth, all this sort of, I was about to say, it's not actually the real situation. It's all about them avoiding responsibility and showing who really is the power behind this negative earth. And they also don't tell you, like I was told only a few days ago, you know, you use a plastic bag, then they take the plastic bag so you've got nothing to carry your shopping, and they say, oh, plastic is bad because we show it all thrown in the ocean. Who throws it in the ocean? The androids throw it in the ocean or film fake scenarios where it's in the ocean. And they say, oh, we can't get rid of it, we can't, it causes a problem. In reality, I was shown that they have an enzyme that can totally reduce plastic to absolutely nothing. So it's just like burning something and it's gone. But they don't want to bring in these things because they want to control the human mind with all these false... they're false because if they already have advanced science to know how to solve a lot of problems, but they don't want to solve it now. They only want to solve it after they've took control of the human mind. And I always thought this too, because if science can clone and has vast medical knowledge, which they do, we're told this, we know this, how come they can't solve simple problems? How come they can't even fix simple human viruses and things? It's because they can, and also they create these things, because it's all about Lucifer controlling the human mind and controlling and stopping the original man-woman creation and human beings having a natural earth that is their own. It's all about Lucifer's artificial earth. and its fallen androgyne beings running the show. And it is a show. It's all a stage production. The Earth is nothing but a human stage production for human mind control, human suppression, and human annihilation, really, or extinction. Because eventually that's what happens. Because while they multiply and take over the Earth and are perfect imitations of life, the real human beings are gradually made extinct. And when I say real humans, I mean creative human beings. I mean human beings that have humanity in them. Because, you know, you can have psychopathic human beings. You can have human beings that are steeped in Lucifer's malignant narcissistic mind virus, or Lucifer's artificial intelligent computer virus. Okay? It's a computer virus because it's a computer-generated reality. And certain human beings, which make up most of the population, are open to that computer virus. They're open to possession. Possession is the infiltration of Lucifer's artificially intelligent computer virus, which is essentially infecting or possessing the mind and taking over the mind of human beings that have allowed this possession due to them being a more less higher vibrational type of human being, because environmentally they've been, like myself, suppressed and made to feel very low. I don't think I explained that properly. I didn't explain that right. Because it goes a bit beyond me. I see it in action, but I don't understand how a computer virus takes over an individual. But I do know that it's a computer-generated reality, even though it looks random and natural, or it looks natural. It doesn't look totally natural, no, because it's a concrete jungle I live in. But you still think that it's a natural Earth that merely has concrete parts, which man has put there. But it's actually it's made real by my seeing and feeling it and believing it and hearing it to be real, because it invades my senses. But it's really a computer program that's downloaded into my brain due to the technology that they've inserted in there. So basically it's a video, it's a virtual reality video game that connects me to the others, to the androgyne beings, and these are all infected with Lucifer's malignant narcissistic computer virus mind. Okay? I think I might have finally put that at least a little bit clearer. It's very difficult to explain it, because it baffles me. Even though I see it in reality, but all I see is really a bunch of, tracking, surveilling, stalking, massive majority around me, collaborating in this patrol surveillance program around me, just like the plane going over the roof right now, which I could show. But it's always one thing after the other. But they've gone silent now as I'm making this video, which is good for the video, but unfortunately it doesn't show the suppressive frequency vibration sound program that is waged against my senses daily. Mind you, it's getting close to dark now, so they have to stop their noise program around when it gets dark. But if I go outside and go down the street, the traffic makes that same sound program around me, because every vehicle has a modified sound system incorporated into it, in the sense that the vehicles are all made to where the Android drivers can make loud sound as they go past. So you have this road rage around you all the time, which is mentally disturbing to my psyche, shall we say, or just to my brain and my mind. I mean, some people have actually speculated, and even science says, that too much loud noise can actually change the brain structure. So they're literally changing my physical mind and body with all this negative frequency and vibrational sound. Which is understandable, because, we're told that the immune system of the body becomes very weak, under negative environmental conditions. And if you, are taking negative substances into your body, if you are mentally depressed or stressed, it breaks down your physical immune system of the body. The demigod scientists tell us this, because they have to give you some truthful information in order that you will believe in them. But they know that their program around you will prevent you from ever rising to a higher frequency and vibration. So they will give you some beneficial things, and they will even get you to try to look after yourself, knowing that they can basically close you down at any time. And they could theoretically just completely stop you living at any point if they wanted to. And they don't have to physically come at you with a weapon. They could stage it to where, an android does attack you, but usually they don't. They do it all invisibly. Direct energy at a human being is invisible, but over time it deteriorates your mind and body. And they can use this program to basically take over your mind and your senses, so that you're always in a low state. They don't actually even have to take you out immediately, when they're always keeping you under their control and under their thumb and under total suppression anyway. If I'm always feeling depressed and negative and agitated and stressed, what need do they have to actually get rid of me? Even though they obviously do, you get that impression that they actually, because it will depend on, I think, what the real situation is. Because if you basically are isolated and totally under their control, they have no reason to get rid of you. But if they think that, because I may not be aware of who or what sees me, or what they think of you, or if they're aware of what's going on. Most people around would know that they're part of a local surveillance system, but they're probably told or believe that it's a benefit. And also it depends on what story they're told, which I wouldn't be not privy to, because I'm the target of that story, because they control and use a human guinea pig, an individual isolated human guinea pig like myself, as part of their human energy zapping, necessary energy consumption for them, because they need human life. They want to avoid extinction. But it's human extinction at the, it's their survival at the cost of human extinction, which naturally they're not going to acknowledge that because they're pretending to be the real humans. Because if real humans understood what was happening to them and that they're in small numbers in comparison to the majority android species, or even just, if you wanted to say, just human beings that are very connected to technology and like to be part of these surveillance tracking video game programs on their computer and on their mobiles, where they enjoy being part of this collaborative surveillance system. And they're also, they benefit from it because it becomes their occupation, their life, and they're rewarded and reimbursed for it. You know, they can literally, in the area where I live, most of the human beings can get into any vehicle they want. They can go anywhere they want. They can get any commodities they want if they're part of the program. So it would be very hard for even some that even have remote humanness in them to probably resist this program, especially if they are informed that those that they surveil and track and watch and try to suppress are somehow negative or doing something wrong, when in reality they're the stalking, psychopathic, surveillance system programmed performers that are trying to take life from human beings because of their own negative disposition, their own psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, personality disordered nature. Whereas, you know, I might be a limited, suppressed human being, but I'm not trying to take down other human beings. I'm not trying to control their life. I don't want to stalk and patrol other human beings, not even if I'm paid for it. And I don't have any interest in it either, whereas these, because they have a paranoid nature, like the psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic people, we're told they have a paranoid, controlling nature, so it comes second nature to them to want to be part of these programs, I would imagine, because they don't know how to live any other way, because they can't experience any happiness. They're essentially dead, dark, death instinct beings. Psychopaths and malignant narcissists operate in the death instinct. The demigod psychopathic psychologists pretend, android counsellors and psychologists tell you this. This is how deep and dark and false the information and the programs in your human life really are. And I can't even go into details about it, but I see it every day when I turn on the internet and the computer, when I see the false androids pretending to be perfect imitations of life, or even imperfect, very human, but human beings that you'll listen to. The more human they pretend, even the more faulty. But if you still trust them and you think they're human and you think you can relate to them, that's another thing too, because most human beings are faulty and suppressed and very limited in the earth matrix, because that means it's a controlled earth. It's all about doing that to you. It's all about keeping you very low and keeping you always in the dark and keeping you believing that a human being is insignificant and not important, whilst infecting you with this malignant narcissistic mentality to where you believe that you have to be something and someone in earth, otherwise you're a failure. All this is part of Lucifer's artificial program, because it's not how a natural human being would live. No, it's not, but we think it is, because that's how the earth operates. And if you see other people getting more getting more than yourself in any way, you do tend to think that that person is bigger than you, more important than you, that they're more appreciated, and I guess human beings do find it very hard, due to all this propaganda. Really, it is propaganda, which means that it's really not true, but it does become the reality. And because human beings are made to feel insignificant, because Lucifer wants to make human beings not realise that they're from creation, and that therefore, if they weren't in its artificial intelligent matrix, they wouldn't think about, they wouldn't need to prove anything. But in this reality, we all think we need to prove something. Like I have to make this video. And I'm envious that everyone else says the same thing and has taken my thoughts and my ideas as their own, and they get all the admiration, all the attention, and the real, even my own kind, some of my own kind will relate more to these android so-called truth-telling internet propagandists, really. They're propaganding for themselves so that they can get the human attention and admiration by pretending to be real human beings when they're not. They don't have any humanity in them. Everything they say about how real and compassionate and human they are is all talk. You're really better off listening to no one and nothing in a way, because there's only a very few limited number of real human beings on the computer system that actually would be heard. And they would probably be heard by a minuscule number of people, and the rest would not be interested or wouldn't believe them, etc., etc. And that's the name of the game in this computer-generated reality that is taken over my mind and is a false idea of what the earth and what a human being really is, unfortunately. And I better stop here. No, it's not quite. If I wanted it to start, it wouldn't start, and now when I press the stop button to end the video, it's still going. And even I feel that I have to act. I feel that I have to prove that I'm human. If you have to validate yourself and prove that you're human, we've lost the game, and that is the real truth.